Hello, Gen Genies. It's me, Julie.
And Rich.
Before we get started today, we want to let you in on some exciting news. We have launched our new Patreon page for the podcast.
Woohoo! We are super excited about this new chapter for CutOff Jeans.
So, Patreon is a website where listeners like you can pledge a small monthly amount. We're talking only $5 or $10, guys, to support the podcast and help defray the cost of bringing you the show each week.
To be clear, CutOff Jeans will continue to be absolutely free. But to thank you for your support, we are going to offer our patrons some fun little extras.
Like early access to the podcast every week, where you'll get to hear the latest episode before it's released to the general public.
And why not make your friends jealous with exclusive patron-only CutOff Jeans swag?
Fancy. And here's something you guys have been asking for, and I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to host a monthly, hour-long, online Ask Me Anything session where patrons at the $10 level can literally ask me anything.
Anything? You're a brave woman, Julie.
You know, I know. I'm also going to give access to my blog, Are You My Father?, where I tell the story of my search, actually it's my life story basically, for my biological father in even more detail than I did on the podcast.
Wow, your blog was the original inspiration for CutOff Jeans, wasn't it?
It was.
Wow. Well, all patrons at any level will receive a shout out on the podcast along with our undying gratitude for your support.
Yep. You guys know that this show is a labor of love for me. It's something I'm very passionate about. It'd mean so much to me if you would consider supporting our work here on the podcast by going to patreon.com/CutOff Jeans podcast.
That's Patreon, patreon.com/CutOff Jeans podcast.
We'll add a link to it on the podcast and on the Facebook page. Thank you all, my Gen Genies.
And now, on with the show.
Woo!
Is your family tree a mystery? Are you fascinated by genealogy? Well, hip, hip, hooray, let's talk DNA with Julie.
The truth is in your genes.
In CutOff Jeans.
Welcome to CutOff Jeans, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I am a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I am Richard Castle, the co-host and producer of this podcast. And I'm also a well-wisher today.
A well-wisher?
Happy birthday, Julie.
Yay!
We are recording this on Julie's birthday, so everybody at home, sing happy birthday, although you're probably sick of that because you just have to sing it twice while washing your hands.
I don't do that. Do you do that?
I don't sing happy birthday. You know, for the first couple of days, I did it just for fun, and I would sing it like to my dog or, you know, I don't know, so just out loud, happy birthday to me. But it got, you know, the song gets old quick.
Indeed, it does. My children each, while I was working on the couch, which is my office, my children sat on either side of me and sang happy birthday in just the most dissonant chords possible in my ears for me. It was very enjoyable.
And only good singers can do that well. You know,
yes,
like,
exactly.
To remain in dissonance together.
Right. Yes.
Because I've heard your kids sing and they're terrific.
Yes, they can actually sing well.
That's because the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree.
Yes, the proverbial tree, meaning me.
Yes.
Hey, I want to show you something. I just now saw it. So wait.
Show me. We're not in the same room.
You see this?
I see some kind of claw or nail. Oh, wait. Oh, it's a tooth. Oh, no.
All right. So some people know that my dog Bijou, my 14-year-old Pomeranian, has very few teeth left in his head. And he's had this one that we call Fang for several years that has just been sideways coming out of his mouth, and it's ridiculous. And the other day, one of my kids noticed that it was gone. And we're like, oh my God, Fang, where's Fang gone? I said, I have to find it. So, of course, I found it. And here it is. And it is the size of, let me see, I'll put it next to it. It's the size of like of a nickel. I mean, wow. It's long and thin, but the part that was inside his gums is longer than the tooth itself. And he's a small dog.
Wow.
So this is shocking to me.
Well,
but I'm so happy I have it.
Not what I was expecting. I thought for sure you went into your drawer your bedside drawer where you keep your children's
This
teeth.
is one of my kids' teeth. Yeah.
And then I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, it's a fang.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's nasty.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Fang the fictional name for Phyllis Diller's husband?
Yes, it was.
It's a little pop culture
I
reference.
love and hate that we both know that because we are far too young to know that.
I have a good friend who was a huge Phyllis Diller fan, and he would do all her routines. Of course he would.
My mom was a huge Phyllis Diller fan too. That's why she thought she was the funniest person in the world, which I appreciate. I'll tell you really fast a joke that my mother thought was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. She was talking about how she went to a party last night and she passed out, but she woke up when somebody stepped on her tongue.
Jeez.
My mom thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I was maybe 8 when she told me that joke at the time, so I didn't get it.
It's funny when you're 8.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until years later that I really got the context of it.
Yeah.
And I laughed out loud then, and everybody thought I was crazy.
Was it a Phyllis Diller joke?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was. I'm sure of it. It sounded about right.
We don't know any Fang jokes, right? She would always talk about her husband, right? Fang.
Yeah, I don't off the top of my head.
Isn't it great though that your dog Bijou that lost a tooth and you didn't have to like give him any money or anything for it, like the tooth fairy?
Thank God.
Thank God.
Can I tell you, because this one part like that was in is like nasty looking. So that has been rotting in there for years. And he seems much happier and much more comfortable now that it's gone.
Well, good for him. And you know what? You should send it in for DNA analysis now, since there's DNA on that tooth, as we know.
What's it going to tell us?
Well, you said like all that was in his head, right? So, well, did you ever do the DNA test to find out what breeds?
No.
See.
No, I don't care about that.
The truth is in his genes.
The truth is in his genes. But he's a purebred. Sorry, guys, but he is. So I actually know who both of his parents are.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe there's like a little skeleton in that tree.
Maybe there was an MPE.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't.
A skeleton in that tree. Listen to me. I'm mixing my metaphors.
I love mixed metaphors. Hey, remember last week when I was telling you my In the Trenches stories?
Of course I do.
And I was talking about the one gentleman who was the father of a client and had married the mother, and they were together. But we had spoken and he'd requested to meet me and flew to LA to meet me.
Yes. And you were supposed to get back in touch with him.
Yeah. And you were like, maybe you should follow up.
Did you?
I did. That was such good information. I texted him and just said, because he'd asked to see the tree that I built. And I looked and I noticed that he hadn't accepted the invitation. So I just texted him saying, I think maybe I used the wrong email. Could you resend it to me so that I can send you the thing? And that kind of like inspired him to call me and to do a follow-up himself.
Oh, good.
Yes.
How did that go?
It went well. He said that they have decided that they definitely want to meet her, and they want to fly to meet her, and they want me to arrange it when all this craziness in the world.
When people can fly again.
When people can actually travel, right.
Yes.
But they would still like for me to be the intermediary.
Wow. Well, that's putting a lot of nice confidence in you.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It still surprises me. I mean, I'm not going to judge somebody else's process, and I'm happy to do it for them because they're very nice people. So, whatever instills more confidence in somebody, I'm happy to do it. But
maybe he just wanted you to be his travel agent.
I think maybe he likes me.
Could you arrange the flights for me? I can't leave before 10 a.m.
Can you imagine?
And I need a nonstop, and I need a vegetarian meal.
You know what? He would probably pay me to do that because he offered to pay me for my time when I had coffee with him.
Oh,
so he's
nice.
very, he's very accommodating. Yeah, but gosh, I can't wait to hear how the whole thing turns out because
maybe he's not going to ask you to actually be there, though, is he? Like as an intermediary?
Well, I would if he wants to fly me.
Where are they?
They're in Texas, and
Texas?
the client's in Florida.
All right.
Yeah, so they're much closer, but whatevs.
You wouldn't mind a trip to Texas or Florida.
Yeah.
Stop at
right
Disney
now,
World on your
but
way back. Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go.
Not right
There
now.
you go. Yeah, because we don't have any Disney here.
Yeah. This is true. And neither one of us worked for them. No, actually, we both worked for
Yes,
Disney
we both
Corporation.
indeed have worked for them.
They're sort
various...
of like the it's like the company town, or like the mine where everybody that works in the town works for the mine.
Yeah,
and
at some point
that's Disney.
Yes, that is Disney. Okay, so do you have any? Did anything interesting happen while you were hunkered down this week?
At home, probably not much. Honestly, I'm just giving so much love to this dog and spoiling him rotten. And then I'm writing a lot. I'm actually doing a lot of writing. Yeah.
Well,
and
that's good.
I'm actually writing a new piece with a composer that I don't know. We both used to write for this company they kind of put us together, said, hey, why don't you write this song while everybody's in quarantine? And he lives in New York. And so we did a little Zoom, and we're going to write a song together and just see how that goes.
Are you doing lyrics?
I am. I'm doing lyrics, and he's writing. It's actually going to be kind of fun. So I'm looking forward to writing with somebody new.
Yeah.
You know, I'm nothing against the composers I work with. It's always good to have a new collaborator.
Absolutely.
So, and why not while I'm sitting here unemployed and, in front of my computer?
You may as well.
I got to fill it with, it's funny. I was talking to my brother, my oldest brother, on the phone the other day, and he had gotten furloughed. He actually worked a little longer than I thought he should have, but he finally got furloughed, and I was a bit relieved just for his own health. And he said, well, what am I going to do to fill my days? He said, I don't have creativity like you do. And I thought, that's so interesting. I never thought of it that way.
It's true. It's why we don't mind being home so much.
Yeah, and I didn't know that my brother was perceptive enough to say that. But it was nice.
Interesting. Yeah, it is true. There's a lot of, again, I'm home all the time anyway. But I noticed a lot of people are gardening and painting their houses. I finished my paint by numbers, by the way.
Oh, good.
Would you like to see it?
Yes, I would like to see it.
Well, I'll go get it on the break.
Show me on the break.
Okay.
My other brother, Philip, the one that has the Down syndrome, I was talking to him on the phone the other day, and we were talking about social distancing, and he hates it, right? He says, what am I to do? He said,
what am I to do?
What am I to do?
I love that.
I'm very affectionate. I like to shake hands and hug.
Oh,
isn't that sweet?
Bless his heart.
And he's worried because his birthday is in May, and he's wondering what's going to happen. And I said, well, Phil, we'll tackle that when we come to it. It's hard enough for all of us in the world to grasp what's going on and the magnitude of it, let alone like my brother,
Yes, absolutely.
But he's a sweetheart. He's a gentle soul.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet. All right. So, hey,
it's for horses.
Horses eat hay. So Anne McEl is somebody who is a follower on Twitter. I'm not exactly sure who she is, but she sent me a suggestion of something that she just saw,
we
which
love
is actually
suggestions.
very relevant. Yes. So apparently 23andMe is launching a COVID-19 study.
Wow, I like that. Okay, what is the study about, and what does it entail? Okay,
so the major goal is to uncover the genetic risks associated with the severe outcomes of the infections. So such associations may explain why some people have a more severe reaction than others, is what it's saying. And in addition to providing direct-to-consumer genetic testing through the 23andMe service, they endeavor to advance biomedical science through genetic research. If you're eligible to participate and have consented to participate in the research on 23andMe, because you have to opt in for that, there's a survey on 23andMe that you can take. And I believe that you need to have tested positive for COVID-19.
Wow.
To participate. So the primary objective is to investigate genetic links that could predispose individuals to severe symptoms.
That is interesting because some people come down with it and it's fatal, and others seem to get over it, not quickly, but they get through it.
And some people have had it and didn't even know they had it.
Exactly. And, it's not just age-based either, because there have been young people who've passed on.
Exactly.
And they say, there are comorbidities, people who have other underlying health issues.
Yep.
But I don't know that everyone who's died has had an underlying health issue, but maybe there's something in the DNA, something in the genes they're saying that might predispose them to,
Yeah, and I think they want to identify that, see what they have in common.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it may have something to do with like the way your lungs are lined, because apparently that's what the virus attacks, right? The lining, inner lining of your lungs, and perhaps if your lungs are not, I'm making this up. I don't really know, but I'm just guessing.
I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Listen to me. I know I'm like a doctor. I'm like the president.
You're
I know
just
everything.
like the president. I was waiting for that.
I'm going to give unsolicited medical advice to the rest of the world.
Maybe you have stock in some of these companies.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
goodness.
what? Let me see what else this says. If there's anything else that could be beneficial. Oh, by the way, are you wearing your mask? Well, do you have your mask yet?
I was waiting for someone I know who's very crafty to make one for me.
I know. I've made them. I haven't dropped them off yet.
I'm actually going shopping tomorrow, so I would love a mask or two.
I will get them to you before then. I
Thank
promise.
you. I pulled out a handkerchief, and I was like trying to make it, and it will not fit around my fat head.
Oh, that is good to know. I'll make you an extra large then.
No, it was just a handkerchief. It wasn't big. It wasn't like a bandana or something. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
it wasn't meant to go around your head.
I guess not. You could use a dish towel.
Thanks.
Sure. I've been making these, and I actually discovered something brilliant, because it's impossible to find elastic right now anywhere.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
So I've been like trying to come up with different ways because you can sew the straps, but that takes much more time. And it's just much more work intensive. So I found old dance tights, and I cut them like in loops across like the legs, and it's super stretchy and super soft.
Oh, wow.
And you can use that, and it's soft as it goes around your ears, because a lot of people are saying that the elastic gets annoying and kind of rough, but it's so soft. So I believe I found, so guys, if anyone's making it, if you have any old dance tights, or ask your friends to wash them first and use them, because that's what's working for me now. I'm not sure if I'll give you the dance tights ones. I have tried every pattern and every combination, of course, to find the best one.
Well, just, something that would look good with my eyes.
So blue.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Or actually, wait, what's the opposite of blue? I think brown, because that's a complementary color.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I just want to be safe. I see people wearing them out and about, like when I'm walking my dog just on the street, and I haven't been doing that. Well, obviously because I don't have one, but I don't know that I would wear them outside of, say, if I was going into a market or something. But maybe, I don't know.
I mean, if you can keep your at least 6 feet distance out in the open, I think, although I'm trying to wear mine as much as possible, and definitely
I find that people are very respectful when I'm walking the dog, and other people are walking dogs, that they cross the street or they move,
you do the COVID dance,
the little COVID dance, exactly.
Yes. I love the COVID dance. It's the new Dougie. I got into a Facebook argument with someone the other day that was talking about, somebody was asking, so I who lives in New York was saying, so now we have to wear masks when we go outside. What do I do? Can somebody help me? And some friend of his said, don't do it. It'll infringe on your freedoms from this tyrannical government. And I was like, and so I wrote back saying, I'm going to assume that was a joke, but that really just triggered me. And I really thought it was a joke. And no, she came back at me with like, no, it's like this libertarian thing, I think. Her whole thing is, well, if you don't have it, or, then you're fine. And I'm like, you can have it without knowing it, and you can spread it to other people without knowing it. So it's more to protect other people, not to protect you.
I've found it really interesting that people, particularly like, again online, because that's the only way I'm connecting with anybody right now,
Yeah.
is that I've seen people I wouldn't expect who are sort of trafficking in conspiracy theories and things
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
And I'm shocked by it. Maybe it's a reaction to this huge disruption in our lives.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were already prone to conspiracy theories and I did not know that they were, or
Yeah.
just it's just this is what it brings out in people. But I've noticed that in several people, and one in particular, it's been a little disconcerting to me. I didn't expect that to be one of the outcomes of this.
Yeah. It's a little shocking, especially when it's people that you know that you thought you knew.
I just tell them to check their sources and go look at other sources of news than where they're looking.
Somebody the other day told me, I said, show me your source. And it was OAN News.
Oh, see? Yeah. I know.
I mean, come on, guys. If you're going to give me a source that's extremely one way, that's not a source. Yeah. It has to be a mainstream. Anyway.
I know, but I've been told by this person when we had a discussion about it that if you only listen to the mainstream media, you're only going to get one story. And I was like, that's not necessarily true, because there are different viewpoints in the
Listen to NPR, listen to network news.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just reporting the news. If you think they're biased, watch the footage.
But, it's just like in wars and things like that, the best and the worst come out in people. And it's interesting to see. I wonder how society will change.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, but not just in the ways we're talking about as far as people getting together online more, or jobs that can be done from home, or the way we get our entertainment, but just the relationships and how people changed because we've gone through this.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
It's really pointing out how important connection is.
Oh, yeah.
To me, I had a phone call for my birthday from my dear friend Karen in New York, and we never talk on the phone. And that's my fault, because I do not like talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But she called me and we talked for like 45 minutes, and it was amazing. It was so great to hear her voice. It just reminded me that I really need to step it up and do that more.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Should we take a break?
Let's do that.
All right.
If you're enjoying our podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review, or consider supporting us on our Patreon page, patreon.com/CutOff Jeans Podcast. Now back to Julie and me.
Okay, we're back.
Yay.
Hey, let's do a little book nook.
Why not? It's been a while since we've done a book nook.
It is, because I don't read. I know,
but now we're at home. We have plenty of time to read.
I don't.
Oh.
But anyway, so I posted in the Facebook group that I got this a publisher's advance of The Lost Family. I'm showing you, like they can see it.
No, I can see it.
By Libby Copeland. It's how DNA testing is upending who we are. And I have not, truth be told, I've not finished the whole thing. But what I'm really enjoying about it is that she's covering every aspect of how DNA testing has changed our world.
Wow.
Basically. So she's talking about NPEs. She's talking about the ethical arguments. She's giving both sides of the argument. She's using examples of, stories and people that we know, and it's really interesting. And she also talks about, if a lot of you guys, I touched on how the direct-to-consumer DNA testing started in the first few episodes of this podcast 100 ago. And she really breaks it down really well, like in a really succinct way, because she's done research, a lot of it. So it's really all encompassing. It talks about the history of it, who started it, why, and I'm really enjoying it. So
that's great.
So good job, Libby. Libby's in the group, actually. I don't know if she's a listener, but she's in the group.
Well, you know what, Libby, if you are listening, maybe you would do an interview. With Julie.
I bet I probably could. I got this copy from the publisher, and they said if you'd like to talk to her, we could arrange that. So,
I would love that.
I bet I could probably direct message her and arrange it that way too.
Well, either way, I mean, especially since you're enjoying the book so much, I bet our listeners would love to hear an interview with somebody who's written a book. I mean, we've had people who've written books on this podcast before.
Yes. Should we take another break?
I think we better.
Please.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Cut Off Jeans with Julie Dixon Jackson and Richard Castle. You can support us by going to patreon.com/Cut Off Jeans podcast. Now, back to the program.
Okay, we're back, and it is time for part 2 of Story Time with Drew Dalzell.
Good, because I've been waiting a week, and I want to know. I want to know more. I actually really like him. He's got a great personality.
Isn't he great?
Yeah. Or maybe it's just that you guys have like a good rapport.
You know what's funny is when we worked together on Sideshow all those years ago, we hardly talked because he was a sound designer. I mean, I guess we did, but we really didn't know each other because he was on the soundboard and I was on stage.
On a side note to Sideshow, I saw you in that and you were incredible.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
That's nice. Thank you. Thanks for telling me.
I believe that you were a Siamese twin.
I was. We actually had ourselves surgically attached to each other.
She's a method actress.
Exactly. I was going to say, we used to do party tricks connected to each other. We would one of us would fall down and the other would have to be so tuned in you would fall down with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So let's hear part 2 of Drew. Let me see. We left off at him. Somebody found his birth record and discovered his last name in California through some tricky backdoor way that isn't supposed to happen. But it was very helpful to me. And he's going to tell us how he knew that was the correct person.
Great. Let's listen in.
Okay.
And the verification was because the case number on that has a code that matches the birth certificate.
Oh my gosh.
So the person that did this for me never asked for that code. Specifically does not ask for that code. But then when I got the result back, the codes match. And so it's and it's a smart way to, it's that's a huge level of verification.
Yes.
Without giving that information. All I gave was, here's my name, and I think I gave the name and the locate, that city or the hospital. I forget what the information was.
Right.
And it's here we go. And then you do the record match. And it's yep, the record numbers line up. So now I had my birth name.
That was amazingly fortunate because it gave me a head start to, So what happened with that was, I was on the cruise and then I had a day in Puerto Rico. And while everybody was sightseeing, I went to an internet cafe.
Of course you did.
and texted you, and you said, "This is the name." I was like, "Really? Okay."
Yeah.
And then I started building the tree from there.
Okay.
Because that name, came up.
Yeah.
And how long did it take from then to when I said this is your mother?
It was probably a few more weeks.
Yeah.
I need to look back at the timeline, but it was a few weeks in there because you said I think I'm getting close to it and I think I know what's going on. But there were a few things that we couldn't make sense of. And a big piece of it was location.
Yes.
That I was born in Little Company Mary Hospital in Torrance.
Yes.
I was born here in California. But then everything you were finding linked to Ohio.
Nobody lived in California, right?
Yeah, there was no connection anywhere to California. And you're I think I found a grouping that somewhere in this grouping is your dad, your birth father, and this looks but it's all Ohio, and they're in the same town in Ohio.
Right. Right.
So and so we couldn't figure that out at all. And I now know the story behind how all that came to be, but it was just crazy. It was so that was the thing that was sticking. But then, once we found the name, those things all start to line up. And it was during that you said, I think I'm going to tell you later today that I have a hot lead.
Yeah.
And it was within a day or two that you had that, and it was correct.
I remember when I realized it was one of 3 sisters, and I started doing my Facebook detective work, and they're all very different in age, right?
Yeah. My birth mother's the oldest, if I remember correctly.
And I looked, and I found her page, and I saw you. It was I think I did one of my split screens,
Yeah.
my famous split screens. And, you see what you want to see.
Sure.
So, and we always take that with a grain of salt, but I always find it amazing when it's right. So I figured out who it probably was.
Yep.
And then what happened?
Well, you give me that, and so I had a link to the Facebook page. So I'd done, as so many of us do, a little bit of Facebook stalking and going, okay, yeah, this looks right. But then also, as I was going, I had my Instagram feed, and this was one of those weird, like, what is happening here?
Yeah, this is weird to me.
And I had posted, I forget. Oh yeah, it was just because we bought a new house here in LA, and we've got these epic views. And I've been posting all these pictures of these views, and at one point I get a random like on one of the pictures, and I glance, and the name on the account matched the username or something like that on the Facebook account for my birth mother.
And have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
Not completely. No. I mean, the one guess is that because Facebook owns Instagram.
Yes.
And I had been looking around that it had prioritized something and thrown that in front of a feed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The other thing, and I've been actually talking to her, and the other piece that it's all good, but I haven't been able to ask. I haven't bothered to ask directly yet. I'm pretty sure she's known who I am, because I know she met my birth parents, so she had my name.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So yeah, because she part of what she was telling me was that after she gave me up for adoption, that was a big deal, and doing all of that. But then the caseworker that was working with her said, like she apparently was struggling with it. She said, you can go and meet the birth parents. You're still within your 45-day window. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to do this, you can back out of it and do it. And she made the decision to go out. And she actually, I believe, met my mom and saw where I was. And that made her feel okay.
Oh, wow.
So I know from all of that information, she had to have had my name.
So she was tuned into it. Okay.
So, yeah.
So how did you reach out? Now, you waited several weeks, if I recall.
I did.
Before reaching out, which drove me nuts.
Completely nuts. And it's tricky. I think, again, that aspect of wanting to do something right. I'd done enough reading. I'd followed blogs. I kind of knew the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
And that in a lot of cases, you might only have one chance to try to get it right.
Yes.
And how that first contact works is important.
Yes, you're right.
So the temptation to be this, like, oh, I think I can do this, and I'm going to send a link, or I'm going to send a mail, I'm going to do it fast. But instead, again, being me, very deliberate.
Yes.
And so taking my time to digest it, figuring out what it was, and then I wrote a letter, and I sat on that letter for a bit, and then I got some pictures together and put some pictures, and part of this was with advice from you and from a few other friends of like, hey, here's some things, there's some idea. And I kind of vetted what I was saying through a few folks, but put it all together and finally put it in. And then I made the decision, as opposed to certified mail, I actually sent it FedEx, direct signature. And there's a way you can do it with FedEx that it's not only direct signature, but it has to be signed for by the recipient.
By that person.
By the named recipient.
Okay.
So that way it would go overnight. So it's the minimum amount of time in transit. Mm-hmm. And I would get absolute verification when she got it.
Signed for it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was my thing. And that's just, I do enough business transactions that FedEx for me is one of the go-tos.
Sure.
It's more expensive than doing it certified mail, but
yeah, a lot.
It's like, great.
Yeah.
I know.
It's kind of a big deal though.
for just a letter, it's not like sending a package, it's expensive, but it's not too, it's just one of their flat envelopes, but you can verify all this. So yeah, so it was that I needed to make sure I was ready for whatever the response was going to be or not going to be. And that's why I kind of took my time and put it in the mail, and then, and also make sure that it's like, okay, I'm going to put this in, and there's no guarantee that I'm going to hear the next day or anything like that.
Right. So when did you hear?
The next day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got an email back because I had kind of said, here's my phone number, here's my email, here's my mailing address. And one of the things I said was, if you don't want to hear from me again, or you don't want any touch, I completely respect that. And this will be the last communication you'll get from me. But I also said that part of this is also me looking for medical information. So I just kind of like, here's the pieces, and tried to leave the door open for, if she was unsure, she could engage on just, okay, you needed some medical information, here's what it is. And instead I got an unbelievably heartfelt email the next day that she had been waiting and hoping to someday get that letter.
Oh, I'm so glad.
In that respect, as an adoptee, that relation, I've won the lottery.
Yes.
She's been amazing.
Oh.
So we haven't met yet, but we've chatted on the phone.
Okay.
We actually text a lot of back and forth through Messenger. We text message a fair amount back and forth. I've gotten, she sent me Christmas ornaments that were on our tree this year, which were just beautiful. And literally today, in the midst of being, a shelter at home and doing everything else, she knows that I'm a big whiskey fan, and we're friends on Facebook. She follows posts and things like that, so she knows all about that. I got 2 bottles from a local distillery where she lives up in Montana.
Oh, that's amazing. So great.
Yeah. And I was hoping to fly up there right around now in April.
Yeah.
So that's on hold for a bit.
Right.
But yeah, so it's all of that has been just amazing. And again, I feel like in that respect, I absolutely won the lottery.
Yeah. It's the absolute best case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
does the rest of her family know?
Yes.
Okay.
She's married. Her husband knows, and from what I understand, has always known.
Okay, good.
She was very transparent with that. In fact, he was the one who apparently answered the door when FedEx came and said, "Here, I think you need to do this, and I think we know who it's from."
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that was a big deal.
Did she tell the kids after, or have they always known?
She's got 2 daughters who both have known that she had a son previously.
Oh,
I haven't talked to or met either of them yet, but they know. It's all, she's all very transparent about it. So yeah, so I have 2 half sisters. And it's weird because I grew up being the younger brother, and now I'm the older brother by like more than a decade.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. That's enough of an age gap there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 17, and we've since figured out. I haven't done anything with my birth father yet, but I know he was 19.
Okay. Now, were they in school? What was the story?
So they knew each other from school, and my birth mother's family moved around. So they'd been in Ohio, and then had been up in Princeton, New Jersey, and then moved to California. And when the family moved to California, I think that was right on the cusp of her finishing high school. And instead of going with them to California, she went back to Ohio. And then I believe,
and then she got
boyfriend or friend from high school or whatever it was. That's where I happened.
Right.
Then she went out, and the reason she was in California, that's where her family was.
Gotcha. Oh,
so she was living at home with her family, full support.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Everything I've ever what she has told me about that is that, again, all of that, I kind of look at it and just go, how did all of these things line up right?
Yeah.
But that's why I was born in California. And then after that, they ended up in Montana.
Okay.
So,
right.
So the California window was this weird handful of years that just happened to be out on that coast.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And now the father, I had the father down to one of 2 brothers.
Yep.
And it was indeed one of those, right?
Yes, it was indeed.
I did it.
She hasn't spoken to them since then, so she has very little information. She did confirm which of the 2 brothers it was.
Okay.
And she also, again, right after this, I got a package from her that she had held on to pictures of the 2 of them together.
Oh, that's
for
so
me.
Great.
She had the original birth certificate issued by the hospital that I now have a copy of.
Oh.
just all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
she's like, I held on to it. I knew that someday this would be really important to you.
Oh,
So
thank God. Oh, I'm so happy to hear all that.
that's about a year ago that all that was taking place.
Mm-hmm.
We've now been in touch for that year. I'm letting her take the lead on how I'm introduced to any additional family on her side.
Okay.
Since she's been so wonderful about that, I don't feel a need to push myself into any of it or try to make that connection.
Right.
But again, she's like, anytime I want to come up to Montana, I'm welcome. So it's on my list. I'm going there. We have actually been dying to do it. She's hoping to make it down to LA. I want nothing more than to be able to show her around LA because she's got a connection to here. She did live here.
Yeah.
And so we've bonded over some music and things like that. And there's concert venues. Like I would love to go see a show at the Hollywood Bowl with her because it's something she never got a chance to do.
Yeah.
But she did see other shows in and around the city. And so there's that. So like for Christmas, what I sent her for Christmas is I grabbed one of the LA, it's an LA picture book. So it's all these amazing photographs all over LA. Mm-hmm. And I actually went through with Post-it notes and every venue there that I have some kind of connection to.
I love that.
I tagged and explained what the connection was. So there's like the Orpheum Theater where I have been there and won an ovation in that theater, and the Griffith Observatory where I did the sound design for one of the shows that's in there. And so I was just able to go through, and so there's little tidbits all over. But yeah, so that's kind of, I feel like that relationship is in a good place.
Good. All right.
And there's a lot of communication going there, which is just amazing.
Yes, it is. Last piece of the puzzle. What are we going to do about our biological father?
It's been a year, and I know, again, it's that I can Facebook stalk and see who that is. And there's I've looked around at some of the family and kind of know where that is. Probably once I get out from under the thumb of coronavirus and everything else I'm dealing with right here, because I'm dealing with the fact that I own a business in the entertainment industry. So I just watched all of my work stop, so once I get out from underneath the thumb of that, I think I'm ready to start that. And again, probably do the same process, put together a letter, get the mailing address, send that out.
Did he know about you? Did your mother say?
Yes,
okay,
because she said the last time she saw him was about a year after I was born.
Oh, all right.
Somewhere in that. But so she had seen him after that, but that's it. That's the last time they had contact. And it's something I've never pressed. She was, and in no way was like, I don't want to talk about this, but was very frank about the last time I saw him was a year after you were born. I don't know anything beyond that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I respect that, and I don't have a need to press there. And what I've said to her is anything I do with him is between me and my birth father.
Yes.
And I don't have any illusions about that. And I try to be very respectful, and I'm pretty cut and dried about how I do things. On my birth father's side, that's the thing that's so annoying in Ancestry right now is the one really close hit we got is there's a 1600 centimorgan hit.
It's
who's
your
his
aunt.
sister.
Yeah, that's the one. Then that's how I figured out who it was. And she has two brothers.
She must have taken it or was given it to her or whatever just to see hey, what ethnicity did you come from?
Right.
And I'm sure looked at that result page, and because I sent a message to her within like 48 hours.
Yeah. Of
her turning up on the site because it was after I was already in.
Well, I know who she is. If you need,
Well, no, I've got it. She's on my tree.
Yeah.
I've built out. I think I've built my genetic tree out on both sides back probably 5 generations at least.
Oh, good for you.
I've got one side that it looks like I can trace my roots all the way back to Virginia before like pre-independence Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is funny because on my adopted side, both of my parents were immigrants from Canada. and
there
they're
you go.
both first generation in Canada.
So you're way more American.
So
than they ever
I
were.
grew up with I'm first generation in the U.S. and you take 2 steps back and you're in Ireland and England.
Yep. Wow.
But then on the other side, it's like, oh no, both sides of the genetic family have been in the U.S. and been here for generations.
Yep. They're apple pie.
And yeah, a lot there. So that's the other thing. I'm hoping when I get a chance to go up to Montana, I can kind of walk through some of that. I have no idea how much of that information my birth mother knows.
Yeah.
There's a really good chance I've done more research into the family tree than.
Oh, probably.
Well, because I knew Ancestry because I'd been doing it for my adopted family for years.
Okay.
I've got about 1,000 people in that tree too. It's just so much harder because I can't depend on DNA for anything.
Yes, exactly.
I literally just have to build the links out, and I'm up into Canada and do that, but then I get into Ireland on that side, and I stonewall because it's all Dalzells, and every generation is John, Tom, and James.
Yep.
And while Dalzell is an unusual name here in the U.S.
Oh, it's very common there.
It is not an unusual name in Northern Ireland.
Yes, I've discovered that as well.
Yeah, you get up there and you're like, oh, they're everywhere. And then it's Ulster Scots, so it's a really blurry line between Ireland and Scotland too, because there was so much more traffic across that water than you really think would have happened.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm at with my birth father. It's on my list there, but.
Right.
Yeah, I had the genealogy bug before, and I kind of in a lot of ways felt robbed because my wife was building it back, and I'm like, and I can't use DNA to track that side of it.
Yeah.
So it's been very much just do the research.
Yeah, I regret not getting my dad's DNA before he passed.
It's the same thing. I wish that this had been a bigger thing before then because I would have gotten it from both of them and done.
Oh,
done
my
more
dad
there.
was into it too. He was going to do it, and then he had a stroke, and there was no way I could do that.
I mean, my dad was a pathologist.
Oh,
he
he would have loved it.
Yeah. And was always interested in family history. He had a lot of that information.
Yeah.
So it would have been huge to do that. But yeah, that's where we're at. It's been a crazy ride, and there's still half the story to tell.
There's still more to go. That's amazing. Drew, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
I have been trying to get you on the show for so long.
Well, it's like I said, we did that, and then my schedule gets crazy, and then and of course, in the sound designers, we'll have a recording studio and everything. It's like, oh, we'll get together, we can do the whole thing at my recording studio, and we finally, because of chainsaws next door, get reduced to over.
The same way I do it with everybody else.
It's fine.
Okay, Drew Dalzell, thank you so much for talking to me. Please say hello to Kristen for me.
Will do.
And
talk to you soon.
All right, I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew. That was very, very interesting. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, he's great. He's fun.
I am Richard Castle, and when I am not co-hosting a podcast, I am playing the piano when I'm allowed to play the piano again. And you could go to my website, richardcastle.com, find out about my piano playing, my songwriting, my musical theater work, or you could follow me on the Twitter @CastleSongs.
I'm Julie Dixon Jackson. You can find me on the Twitter @JulesJackson with 2 O's. Follow the podcast on Twitter, CutOff Genes Pod. Find us in Facebook, CutOff Genes Podcast, and send me an email if you feel so moved to julesjackson@cutoffgenes.com.
On that note, happy birthday again, Julie.
Thank you so much. Oh, I have to, I'm totally throwing a kibosh in this. I forgot to tell you that, remember I told you like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, the next time I talk to you, I'd have a full tree made for you?
Yes.
I haven't done that.
Well, next week I expect to see it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm very busy. So all of a sudden I got like crazy busy, and the last thing I want to do is build another tree, but I'll get to it. I promise.
Okay.
When it slows down.
I'm going to hold you to it. In the meanwhile, I'm going to hold you to the mask.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll get that to you tonight. Oh, I have so many masks to deliver. All of a sudden I'm incredibly busy. Okay. Hey guys, we will see you next week. We won't see you, but we'll talk to you next week. Yes. And always remember.
What is that, Julie?
The truth is in your genes.